In this AutoCAD for Civil Engineers course by Paul Mohindi, who is also a civil engineer specializing in structural design, he will show you all that you need to learn about AutoCAD right from scratch, and this tutorial is especially made for civil engineers. So if you are a civil engineer who wants to learn AutoCAD, then watch this video till the end. You can download the lesson files used in this course from the link in the description. Now, if you want to earn a certificate of completion for finishing AutoCAD course, then check the link in the description of this video and also in the pinned comment to enroll in completely free AutoCAD Essentials course. You can get certificate, you can ask your questions, you can download the lesson files and a lot more in that Essentials course. So with that, let's get started.
In this video, I'll be taking you through the beginner's guide on how to use AutoCAD as a civil engineer. My name is Paul Mohindi and I'm a practicing civil and structural engineer. And throughout this extensive course, I'll guide you through the essential process of 2D and 3D standard house design using the Autodesk AutoCAD software. So, whether you're a civil engineering student or a practicing engineer or a CAD technician aiming to refine your skills, this course is meticulously crafted to furnish you with foundational knowledge and hands-on experience vital for excelling in your civil engineering design projects. Moreover, in the description down below, you'll find a link to a comprehensive AutoCAD course that I highly recommend, particularly for those aspiring to advance professionally. With that in mind, our journey begins with a thorough exploration of the AutoCAD interface. Subsequently, we will embark on a complete design project, guiding you through every command essential for your transformation from a beginner to a proficient user. Let's get started. In this tutorial, we'll be using the Autodesk AutoCAD 2024. You can also follow along using any version that is similar to mine, as well as if you have the AutoCAD LT version, you can also follow along. So once you run your software, the first thing that you'll see will be this interface. At the top left-hand corner, you'll see the AutoCAD logo. So if you press on it once, this pop-up menu will be shown where we'll have some set of commands. The first being new. So by clicking on this, you can actually create a new drawing. You can also open existing drawings that you have, as well as sheet sets that you already have. You can also open sample files from here. Not only that, if I just click away here using my left mouse button, I can find these options here. So this is basically the quick access toolbar. So we can either open a drawing or even create a new drawing and so many other options. And if I press on this drop down option, I can even toggle on or toggle off these tools from here. You'll also realize the moment that we actually start a new drawing or we open an existing drawing that we'll actually find more tools within this area. And just below it, we have this tab. So we have the home tab, insert tab, so on and so forth. And you'll actually come to realize that it somewhat looks like the Microsoft layout. So it's really nice that it's something familiar that you can actually refer to. And under the tab, we actually have these panels. So we have the draw panel, the modify panel, the annotation panel, so on and so forth. And you'll realize that currently all the commands that are under these panels are currently inactive. This is because we do not have any drawing open. And just under that, we have the Start tab. And under the Start tab, we have some various commands. The first one being open. So by clicking on this drop-down menu, I can actually access files that I already have in my PC or even an external drive. I can even open sheet sets and I can even explore sample drawings. Just by clicking away, I can also access the next command, which actually is new. So by pressing on this drop-down menu, we have some templates. So this is just by standard that we have here, but we can actually browse more templates that we already have in our PC, or if you prefer, you can actually get more templates online. Not only that, you can also create a new sheet set from here. So I'll just click away using the left mouse button, and under that we have our recent. So you'll actually see recent here and it's showing here. And this window shows our recent drawings. You can actually see it in either grid view or list view. So by pressing on this once, it will be transformed to list view. but I usually prefer grid view because I have this thumbnail that I can actually see the type of design that I was working on. Not only that, if I click on this drop down here, I can sort by name. So if I click on name once, it will actually start from A going all the way to Z, depending on how you have it in your PC. But for my case, I'll actually change it and I'll actually use the last opened because this one is the one that I prefer. So having said that, we'll open a sample drawing and I'll take you through some basic commands that we already have there, as well as some basic layout that we cannot see within this Start tab. So simply click on this drop down option, navigate to explore sample drawing, click on this once using your left mouse button and you'll find this location here. So for my case, I'll navigate to where I have saved my software. So this is AutoCAD 2024, then I'll open AutoCAD 2024 and I'll navigate to sample and I'll open it, and under sample, I'll navigate to database connectivity and I'll find this floor plan sample. After that, I'll simply click on open. Once you click on open, in your software, you'll find this interface. So basically, this is just our workspace, which is basically an unlimited, infinity work drawing area that we can actually use to draw using these commands here and manipulate using these commands and so many others. Not only that, at the bottom left corner, you'll find this model and layout. So this basically changes our view from model to layout, which is basically paper, and you can actually see paper over here. And if I wanted to go back, I can either click over here or I can click on this option and navigate to model. I can also create copies from this option as well. And if I wanted to add a new layout, I'll just simply click on this plus button and a new layout will be created. And if I wanted to import a new layout, I'll simply right click, then I'll navigate to from template and I can navigate to where I have a template within my PC and I can be able to import it here. But for now, we're not going to be importing anything, so I'll just simply click away. At the bottom right hand corner, we'll find more options. So over here, we have options such as dynamic input, which simply means if I was to import like command, let's say units, which is UN, my command will be floating within the drawing. Let's say I hit an escape to cancel the command and you can simply see it here. If I turn it off and I try to input the same command, for this case UN, you'll actually see that it will be entered within the command line. So that is actually the main use of the dynamic input. Not only that, but you can actually see the dynamic movement when you're working with your design. So make sure you toggle it on. And how do you toggle it on? When it is blue, it means it's active. When it's grayed out, it means it's off. Make sure that it's on. Not only that, we have other commands such as the grid view. If you want to see your grid, just press on this once and now we can see our grids. But I don't prefer seeing them, so I'll just simply toggle them off. And not only that, if I actually wanted to add more options here, I'll simply just click on this option here and this pop-up menu will be shown. From here, I can add what I prefer to have within my drawing. So for this case, let's say we want to add coordinates. So I'll simply click on this once using my left mouse button. And just like that, a tick will be shown, and not only a tick, but also the grid will be shown over here. So for this case, I'll just simply turn it off, or even if I wanted the line weight, I can simply turn it on from here, and just like that, now we have the command here. We can simply navigate within our drawing quite seamlessly, especially using our mouse. So we can actually zoom in by scrolling up our center wheel mouse button like this, and we can zoom out by scrolling back our center wheel mouse button and we will zoom out. We can also pan our drawing, which means holding our paper and moving it to the position that we prefer, something like this, by holding down our center wheel mouse button, and once you're content, you just let it go and just like that, it's gone. But in the event that you do not have a typical 3 mouse button, you can also find the same commands from here. So for example, panning, just click on this pan command, and you can now use your left mouse key to pan your drawing by holding it in and moving where you prefer. And once you're done, you right click, then click on exit. You can also zoom using this option here. So zoom to extents, or by clicking on this drop down option and zoom in to a window or so many others that we have here. So for example, if we zoom to a window, click on this one and we'll just simply draw a window. So simply select your first point by clicking once using your left mouse button, and then just glide your mouse over your workspace and click to the opposite point to specify the next point. And once you click inside, the drawing will be zoomed in to that specific window. Not only that, you can also use orbit, but this one is mainly in the 3D. But remember, we can also use this cube that we have here, this 3D cube, to orbit within our drawing. But I'll actually show you how to use more of this navigation in the 3D later on in the video.
Now, so far, you must have seen that the topics of AutoCAD are explained in a gradual, step-by-step way with practical examples. After this course, the next step for you should be to get a professional level expertise in AutoCAD, which you can obviously get with AutoCAD Complete course by Jayaprakash, that's me, on SourceCAD. Now, in that course, you'll learn AutoCAD in a super comprehensive way, covering 2D and 3D topics. All the advanced topics like dynamic blocks, sheet set, and quite a lot more with support of instructor for Q&A and a certificate of completion when you finish the course 100%. This course is also supported by quizzes and practice exercises. Now check the course by clicking the card somewhere at the top and also in the description of this video. Now back to learning AutoCAD for civil engineers.
So having gone through that basic user interface layout, now we can simply see what we have in front of us. So if I actually wanted to create lines within our drawing, it's very easy. I can either opt to input a command, and for this case, it's actually L. So L is a command for line, and I hit on enter and the command will be shown. And we can simply see that in our command line, we have line, specify first point. So remember, in any time that you do not know what to do, always check the command line and it will guide you. Make sure before creating any item within your drawing, you have a layer created for that item. So later on in the video, I'll show you how we can be able to create such kind of layers. So having said that, let's specify our first point. So you can actually use the coordinate system, and you can clearly see within our screen that we are using the architectural system. What do I mean and how can we change this? So let's first of all hit on escape. I navigate to units, so UN to activate the units command, hit on enter once, and this pop-up window for the drawing units will be shown. So from here, we have the architectural length type, and we can see the sample here. And if you actually prefer using metric, and for this tutorial, we'll be using the metric system, it's quite easy to change. So click on this drop-down option, navigate to decimal, and you'll see a sample output over here. And I can also change the precision. So I actually prefer the to that decimal place. So click on this once and I'll change the insertion scale from inches to millimeters. So I'll click on this once, and just like that, I can also define the light if I want, but much of the time we do not actually use it. So you can just leave it as blank. And for your angle, you can specify what you want, but this one we'll discuss on a later video. So I'll just click on OK. And just like that, now we have our units. So let's go back to the line command. So I'll simply click on line here once to activate the command. And I'll just simply create a simple line over here. So let's say from this point to this point to this point. If I want to exit from this command, I'll simply right click, then I'll hit on enter. Or alternatively, you can hit on escape on your keyboard. Let's create the same line command using the keyboard shortcut L, hit on enter once and specify your first point, let's say from here to there, to there, and to there, then escape. Just like that, we have exited from our command. So there are actually two main items over here. There's something called line and there's something called polyline. So the main difference between the line and the polyline is this. For the line, if I was to select this segment, it is only selecting this part here. But for a polyline, let's create a polyline. Let's say I click here to activate the command, and we create the same thing from this point to this point to this point. And I'm just creating random places, hit on escape to move away from the command. If I was to click on this segment of this line, we'll see that only this part has been selected. But if I try to select on this segment, I'll find out that the entire section has been selected. So that is actually the main difference between a line and a polyline. And I actually prefer using polylines when it comes to wall design, which I'll show you later on in the video. So if you actually have started your design using line, it's not an issue. Let's say, for example, this is a line option that we have here. Let's select it. We have three main options of selection. The first one being selecting from right to left, which gives us a dotted window. So we can actually see the dotted window. And this option gives us the possibility of selecting any item that has been slightly touched within the window. So we can see that this segment here is just slightly within this window and it will be selected. So I'll hit an escape to show you the other one. But this other one, which is actually a full solid window, you have to select the entire segment to be fitted within the window so that it can be selected. So you see only this item as is selected. And you can actually see it with a longer span. You see up to here, because it's not fitting within, it won't be selected. And we can actually use the lasso to select something over here. Let's say something like this. And you see it's actually behaving like the dotted window. If I press in the spacebar, it will behave like the solid window. If I press in again, it will just behave like a line. So let's press escape and let's change this line to a polyline. So how do we do that? I'll simply use the dashed window. After selecting everything, we can use the join command. So it's actually to modify this line to become a polyline. So J to join, hit on enter. And if we were to select this, now it's a polyline. If we were to select this as well, it's a polyline. And this one remains as a line. So a line comes in handy, especially when we are doing the designing of walls, which I'll actually show you later on in the video. And not only that, we have many other options to draw. We can actually draw circles using different options that we already have within the software, either using the center and radius, or center and diameter, or 2 points or 3 points, so on and so forth. So let's say, for example, we use the 2-point option. Even if you hover your cursor over this command, you'll be given a quick preview on how to do it. So let's click on this once and let's select our 2 points. So for our 2 points, it will be from this point here to this point here. And you'll notice something interesting. Whenever you're creating or placing your items, we have this small square green option. So how do we get that? You'll simply get it by using this snap cursor or object snap option, which you can actually activate it by pressing in your F3 key on your keyboard, or by clicking either on or off. So for example, now it's off and right now it's on. If we were to click on this small icon, we'll access more options. So if you actually want to show the endpoint, the midpoint, the center, so on and so forth. Let's say, for example, we toggle this off and let's try to draw our circle. You'll realize that right now it's not showing our endpoint. So over here, there's no square because the endpoint has been switched off. So let's switch it back on. So click on this and let's try to draw. So you'll see our square is back activated. So let's press it there. So we can actually use these circles to show our windows or even to create our rebar as civil engineers. The other option that we have is arcs. So arcs are very fundamental, especially when you're creating our curves. So we have so many options. Let's say the 3-point option, or by pressing this drop-down option, you'll find these other options. Let's say, for example, we want to use the start, end, and direction. So if you still hover your cursor, it will give you an option or a description on how you can use it. So click on this once. Let's select our first point, our end point, and the direction that we want up to there. So that's a method that we can actually use to find or to create our arc. And if you're to click on this arc and you hover your cursor over the center point, you'll actually be able to find the radius. And for this case, the radius is 2,269.185 units. Not only that, we have so many other commands such as the rectangle, and if you click on this drop down option, we actually even have the polygon. So in any time that you actually want to draw, there are so many options that we have here. We also have the ellipse, or you can even create hatches from here. So what are hatches? If I was to click on this once, this hatch context ribbon will be shown, and from here we can actually create our hatches. Let's say we want to create something very simple. Let's say show concrete. So I'll click on concrete once, and let's say we want to show concrete within this area here. So I'll click inside here and I'll hit on escape. So for this case, we see that the scale is rather too small. So how do we change the scale? If you were to click on this hatch, you can navigate to this scale area, and let's change it to 5, then click away, and we can see the scale has been increased. If you actually wanted to change the angle, you can also change the angle from here, depending with what you prefer. Or if you actually wanted to increase the transparency, you can increase the transparency from here. But many of these options we have already covered in the course that I have linked down in the description below. Not only that, we have these other options to modify our items. Let's say we want to move some items. Let's say we want to move a table. So click on move once, and you'll see down here in the command line, it will tell you to select the object, or within the dynamic input option, it will show you select object. And for this case, we actually want to move a desk here inside Jody's office. So click on this desk. So you have selected your object, hit on enter once, then specify the base point. So let's say this is a base point, and now you can be able to pan or to move within your drawing and move it to where you prefer. Let's say we want to place it outside the drawing, or we want to do some modification. You realize that we do not have a straight line on how we can place it, but AutoCAD has the option to activate your perpendicular lines. So how do we do that? It's very simple. You can either press on F8 on your keyboard, or alternatively, still within the same command, you can simply navigate to this command here, which is the ortho mode. Click on it once to toggle it on, and now it's blue, and you'll see that you'll be restricted within 90 degrees like so. So let's place it here once, and just like that, that's the way we move. The next option that we can actually use is copy. So how do we copy? It's very simple. Click on copy once and select the item that you want to copy. For this case, we want to copy this telephone. So click on this once, hit on enter to confirm that that is a selected item that you want to copy. Just like that, specify the base point. So for this case, the base point can be actually this edge here. Then you're going to specify either you want to use array, but for this case, we are not going to be using an array. So I'll just specify the second point, which is the destination area. So I'll just simply select around here just once, and you'll realize that you're still in this command. If I was just to click using my left mouse button, it will continue copying without ceasing. So how do we exit? You can just simply hit on escape once, and just like that, we have exited from the command. We also have many other options such as rotate. So it's very easy to rotate your items within AutoCAD. So let's say, for example, we have this door. So let's just move it away from here. Let's place it around here. And we actually wanted to rotate it to be the opposite direction. So how do we do it? It's very simple. Click on rotate once, select the object that you want, hit on enter once, specify the base point, for this case, which will be at the edge over there at the end point. Then now you can be able to move your cursor. You can either rotate it in ortho, or you can even turn on the polar tracking. So if you turn this option on, we have options to rotate it not only in 90, but in other incremental angles. Let's say, for example, 15, 30, 45, 60, so on and so forth. So if we check on this, if you hover or glide your mouse, you'll see that here it's greater than 225. Over here, we have 210. Over here, we have 195. Over here, we have 180. So you can actually rotate within different angles. So for this case, I'll place it here, and we can actually move it back to our drawing, or even copy. So click on copy, then select this edge here and simply zoom in by scrolling up your wheel mouse button. And just like that, we have placed our door, but in a rotated position. We can also mirror, and mirroring is very easy. So simply click on mirror once, select the object that you want. For this case is this door, hit on enter once and specify your mirror line. So for the mirror line, you can actually pick a point, let's say a line if you already have, or you can just pick 2 points to create your mirror line. So what do I mean? For this case, I want to create a mirror line about this area. So my first point being there and the second point being there. Once I click on the second point, I'll be prompted either to erase the first original item or to leave it to stay there. For this case, I actually want to erase. So click on yes. And just like that, we have erased and we have our door here. The next option that we actually have is scale. So scale comes very much in handy when we want to scale up our drawings. Let's say, for example, we want to increase the size of this telephone. It's not sizable enough for us to see. So how do we go about that? It's very easy. Click on scale once, select the object. For this case is this telephone, enter, specify the base point. So from here, so you can actually scale it up dynamically using just by gliding. I'm not actually pressing anything. I'm just gliding my mouse over my work desk and it's actually getting scaled up. Or you can actually input your scale factor, let's say 1.5, 1.2, 2, 20, etc. depending on what you want. Or you can actually use reference, which I'll actually show you later on in the video. So for this case, let's increase it by 1.2 scale factor and hit on enter once. And just like that, we have scaled up our mobile phone. The next option that we actually have is trim. So trim comes extremely in handy when you are working with walls. Let's say, for example, I wanted to trim a wall area here. It's very simple. Or we want to trim this wall here. I'll just simply click and just like that, it has been trimmed away. And the most amazing thing about trim, if you hold down your shift mouse button, it will overwrite to extend. So what do I mean? Right now, I am holding down my shift button and you can see that this line is being extended. And if I wanted to trim it, I'll just let go my shift button and I'll simply select it and it will be trimmed away. So I can trim by either clicking on individual lines or I can actually select from outside using the lasso line that we actually had before. And just like that, it will be trimmed off. So the next option that we actually have is the fillet command. So just by clicking on this fillet command once, we'll activate this fillet option. So we can actually fillet either just single lines like this one over here. Remember, this was just a line. And just by creating a very simple radius over here, which is actually a curve, by clicking on radius. For your case, you can input something like 50, hit on enter, and then select your two entities. So the first entity and the second entity. And just like that, we can see that we now have this simple arc with a simple radius of 50. If we actually wanted to do for this polyline, remember this is a polyline, it's quite simple. So simply click on fillet, click on polyline, or alternatively, hit on P on your keyboard, hit on enter, and now we're in the polyline command. Input your radius. For this case, you'll be using 100 units. Hit on enter once, then select your polyline. So for this case, it's this one. And you'll see in the moment that you select here, the entire polyline will be reflecting on the effect. So if you click on it once, you activate it, and just like that, now we have our fillet. So not only that, we have so many other options. Even under fillet, we have the chamfer, we have the blend curves, and so on and so forth. We can also create arrays. So arrays are really amazing, especially when we are creating, let's say, landscaping. And I have gone in depth about this command inside our course. And for example, what do I mean? I have this polyline here, something like this, and I wanted to create a very simple landscaping. But for this case, I'll actually be using this mobile phone to represent a tree. So I'll actually place this mobile phone around here, then I'll hit on escape, then I'll navigate to the array command. I'll click on this drop down menu and I'll find the path array. So click on this path array once, select the object that you want to array. For this case, it's this telephone. Hit on enter, select the path. So for this case, it's this path. And we can see a beautiful array has been created. And if you actually wanted to reduce the number of items, you can actually change from here. And by changing, we can actually increase the distance between them. And it's quite easy. Let's say 150 units, click away. And just like that, we can see that the items are now 26 and the total is this. And it's really, really amazing to use it. And if you actually wanted to cancel away from the command, you can close from here, and you can also increase the levels. So this is in the Z axis, while this is simply in the X and Y. So let's say we work with 5, and just like that, now we have an iteration 5 times. So for this case, I want to close. I'll simply click on close, and we'll go back to the home tab. So the other option that we actually have, it's erase. So if I was to click on erase, now if I select on the object that I want to erase, for this case, I want to erase these arrayed items. So click on it once, right click, and just like that, they have been erased. If I wanted to explode, it's very easy. For example, this is our hatch pattern. So it's actually one smart object, but I want to explode it. So click on it once, navigate to home, click on explode. So you can either click on this option or just simply click on X on your keyboard to activate the same shortcut, hit on enter, and just like that, we'll find out that all these items have now become individual items. They are no longer smart items. And the next command that I actually use mainly for creating my world, and I'll actually show you later on in the video, is offsetting. So if I was to click on offset, I'll be asked to specify the offset distance. So for this case, we'll actually be offsetting this polyline here, and let's insert an offset distance of around 200 units, standard wall thickness, and then let's select this object. So if I was to click on it once, and you'll see that you have a prompt on either direction, on the direction that you want to offset. Say for this case, I want to offset actually multiple times. So you can actually click on multiple, and then we can offset once, twice, third, and so many other times that you prefer. Once you're done, just simply click on exit or simply right click, hit on enter, and right now we are totally outside the offset option. So we actually have so many other commands such as annotation panel, but you'll actually come to find out that this annotation panel is actually found within the annotate tab. You'll find out that, let's say, the block panel is found within the insert tab. You'll find out that the group panel is also found maybe inside the insert tab, so on and so forth. But the simplest thing that we can actually use, additionally, if you actually wanted to measure your items, you can actually use these utilities. So simply click on this drop down and you can actually measure your radius. Let's say, for example, we want to measure our radius, select your circle. For this case, it's this circle, and you can simply find our radius being 854.158. And if I want to exit, simply click on exit. And if I go back here, I can actually measure my distance. So for example, distance, I'll select my first point being here, my second point being here. And just like that, I have my distance being this in the aligned state and this being in the linear state. And if I wanted to measure my angles, it's very easy. So simply click on exit, go back to the utilities command, select angle, then select the first item and the second item, and we can simply find that our angle is 152.28 degrees. We can also see the same angle being shown over here. So once you're done, click on exit, and that's the way we actually work within our AutoCAD. So we actually have certain commands such as copy, cut, and paste. So if I was to copy, it's very simple. Just select your dash window, select this item, select on copy from here. So click on copy and then copy with base point. So we're going to specify the base point. Let's say bin there. And just like that, we have copied. So let's paste it. So click on paste or click on this drop down option and you can paste as a block, as a hyperlink, or to original coordinates or special paste. But for now, just simply click on paste and specify the insertion point. So we can clearly see our base point has been maintained, and we can simply trace from this point all the way up. And if you cannot find this option of this fainted dashed green line for tracing, it's simply click on this option, which is actually showing the snapping reference line, and it will show on your end. So we'll paste it around there. Once you're done, it will remain in place. Not only that, there are so many other options that we actually have within the AutoCAD software, but some of them depend with the workspace that you're working on. So currently we're actually using the drafting and annotation, and you can actually change from here. So if you click on this, you can navigate within different workspaces. So from drafting and annotation, you can actually work in 3D modeling, and I'll actually show you how to go about this later on in the video. So having said that, let's get started on a drawing. So it's very easy. So I'll simply click on this to close. Then I'll not save the changes for now. So I'll click on no. Then I'll simply go to creating a new drawing. So I'll click on this drop down, and I'll make sure that I'm using the AutoCAD ISO. So I'll click on this once, and this pop-up tab will be created over here. And the first thing that we actually do once you have started your drawing, which is very important, always define your units. So simply on your keyboard, UN to activate units, hit on enter, and this option will be shown. Specify your line type. For this case, we'll be using the metric system. So our type will be decimal, and our precision will be actually 0 because we are using millimeters. But depending on the country that you're coming from, you can actually use inches or feet, so on and so forth. But for this tutorial, we'll be using millimeters, and we can simply find the sample output over here. We can also specify the lighting. For this case, we'll use international, but remember, this one is not important for now, but for the angle, it's quite important. Depending on the country that you're coming from or the standard that you're using, you can either use the decimal degree or the degree, minute, second option. But for this case, because we won't be using much of the angles, so simply just select the decimal degrees, click on OK, and just like that, our units have now been saved. So we have already gone through our draw option and our modify option. So in this video, I'll be taking you through the layers, annotation, and basic 2D drafting methods. So having said that, the next thing that we're going to do is actually saving our drawing. So I can either hit on Ctrl S on my keyboard, or I can hit on this icon here, which is for save. So just click on this one once, and I'll navigate to the folder that I want to save my drawing to. So for this case, I'll save it as AutoCAD Civil, and I'll just click on here where we can specify the version that we want to save our drawing at. So I can leave it as DWG 2018, the version that I want, and then I can check on this update sheet and views thumbnails now. Then I'll just hit on save. So if you want to navigate to where you want to save your drawing, you can just click on this, and you can simply navigate to where you want to save your specific drawing. So I'll click on save, and on this tab, it will be updated, and we can see the file path over here. So having said that, the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to import a sample photo that we're going to work on, and I'll show you how to use AutoCAD in a practical manner. So let's head on to the Insert tab, and under the Reference panel, click on Attach, and this pop-up window will be shown. So from this pop-up window, I'll see the Select Reference File and all image files. So it's specifically for image photos. So for my case, I want to import this one, and it's actually a PNG. So we can see a quick preview here, and you can actually select the type of file that you want to import. So for our case, is all image files, and this one's already shared with this course that we're having. So click on Open, and this pop-up window will be shown. So simply, this is a attach image window where we can specify what exactly we want to import, and we can also specify the specific point that will be important by using this option, insertion point. So we'll specify on screen. We can specify the scale also on screen, and the rotation, we just leave it as 0. That means at 90 or at 0. So having checked all this, we'll also use the relative path and not the full path. So after that, we'll just click on OK. So on my drawing, I'll just place my drawing anywhere. So let's say just over here, or you can use the coordinate system once again by using 0, 0. But for this case, I just place it here. I'll hit on enter to specify the scale being 1. And just like that, now we have our drawing imported. Or alternatively, on the command line, you can click on xRef to activate this command for external reference. So we can see that we have our drawing or our photo in PNG file, which has been imported here. And if I wanted to attach another image, I'll just simply right click, select on attach image from here, and I'll go through the same process that we have already done before. But because I already have this drawing, I do not need this. I'll just click on close. And also this one, in the event that I wanted to unload, I can simply right click and I can unload from the drawing, or I can detach, or I can also change the path type from here, so on and so forth. So for now, I'll just click on close and I will show you how we'll manipulate and modify this drawing to marry with what we want as engineers. So simply what we need to do is actually to scale up this drawing that we have here to the right scale that we have for our standards of drawings. By default, we know as civil engineers, majority of the time, the exterior wall is usually 200 millimeters thick, and this is the finishing. Sometimes it can vary to up to 300, but for this case, we're gonna be using 200 millimeters. Remember, our units are in millimeters. So how are we gonna scale this up? It's very simple. Click on scale command here, then select the object. If you do not know what to do, simply just check the command line. So select this object, hit on enter once, specify the base point, hit on this point once using the left key button on your keyboard, and then simply select on reference from this command line here. So click on this once, and then we're gonna zoom in slightly, and we're gonna click the reference point. So from this point to about this point here, it's 3 millimeters, but the new length should be 200 millimeters. Hit on enter and you'll see maybe a white screen. So what to do? Just simply click on this option here, which is the zoom extents. And just like that, now we can see our drawing here. So after doing that, we're gonna focus on creating our layers. And the importance of the layers is to help in managing the different items that we have in our drawing. What do I mean? Simply go to the layer properties, click on this once, and this pop-up window will be shown. So we're gonna simply create the layers that we require. The first one being the wall. So this is very crucial because this is exterior part of the structure. And we're gonna change the color from white and we're gonna use the orange. I actually prefer using orange for the wall. So this is index color 40. Then I'm gonna hit on OK. And for the line type, I'm gonna leave it as continuous. After that, I'll create a new layer and I'll name it as grid. So this is very key because remember, much of the time in construction, it's a collaboration between disciplines. And if you want to share this floor plan with another discipline, let's say a plumber or an architect, they need to use the same grid lines so that they can be able to improve from whatever you've shared with them. So for the grids, I usually use red. So I'll click on red and I'll change the line type from continuous to center. So click on load, navigate to center, just click on either of this line, then click on C on your keyboard and it will take you up to here. Then click on OK once, and just like that, it's now loaded in the line types, but it's not selected. So simply click on it once, then click on OK. And just like that, now it will be updated. And we need to create a new type of layer called doors. So doors are very important. They're just like windows, but the bigger part where the people go through. So for the doors, we want to use color green. And we're going to change the line type from center to continuous. Click on OK. Let's create 4 windows. And we're going to change the color from green to yellow. Click on OK. And let's create annotation. So I usually prefer magenta for this one. So this is index color 6. And lastly, let's create the dimensions. So this one makes it quite easy to manage the drawing because now you have different parts of the structure, but in different components. So let's actually create the last one for blocks. So blocks are basically, let's say the furniture, the flowers, and etc. So this color, let's use dark blue. In the color 5, click on OK. And just like that, now we have our layers. And we're going to start with the wall. So just simply double click here, or alternatively, you can just change, or you can choose from the layer types that we have here. So now we have wall, And what are we going to use? We're going to use polyline. Remember polyline? The one that does not break up. This is the one that we're going to use. And we're going to start from the exterior side. And I'm going to use my eyes actually to place where this line is meeting this line. And then after that, we're going to simply modify this line by offsetting to this other side using a space of 200. And remember, this is the offset command. So let's start. So from this point, I'm going to go up vertically and I'm going to turn on ortho mode. Remember ortho mode here, you can click on this option here or you can press on F8 on your keyboard to activate it so that we only move in 90 degrees. So the next place I'm going to place, it's actually here. So this is actually trying to snap there, but I'll snap there. Then I'll just move up to the very end, then all the way down up to around here. So if you find that it's trying to snap here, not a problem. Just place your cursor there, then you can simply trace it, or you can actually zoom in closer to where you want to place your point, so up to there, and then you can change. So for our case, it has snapped there, which is not a problem. So let's simply try to place it around here. Or if it refuses, simply just click and check on this option, which is the snap cursor, and it will be so easy for you to place. So place there, place this at the point here, all the way down, all the way to this point. So I like to turn on for this point, up to there, all the way up, turn off again. You can simply press on F3 to toggle on or off. So press here, then simply connect back. So I'm going to turn on and I'm going to connect it like that. So that's the way we simply create our exterior wall. Very easy, yes? So for this point, I'm going to just simply select this line that we have for the wall, and I'm going to click on this option for offset, or simply click on O on your keyboard and hit on enter. I'm going to enter 200 and I'm going to offset to the inner direction. So here. So if you're trying to work on your drawing and it's a bit tough to see, simply select the photo that you have and you can actually just increase the fade. So I'm going to increase the fade up to around that point. See how really cool that is. I can see everything that I want. So from here, I'm going to simply select this polyline, X for explode, hit on enter so that we can be able to actually correct this point here. And this time I'm going to use line. So click on line and I'm going to click on this point here to this point here. And I'll show you why in a few. So after we have selected this, remember this option for trim. So click on trim once, then hold down your shift key to overwrite it to make it extend. So this one is actually still as the one continuous polyline, X for explode, then use trim command again, hold down shift to extend again up to that point. It's really cool, just like that. Then F for fillet, remember F for fillet, radius bin 0, click on this line here and that line. So if we click on this line, it will be erased and we don't want that. So click trim, trim this point and this point, and that's cool. F for fillet, hit on enter so that now we correct this point to that point. Hit on enter to repeat the same fillet command to this point. Hit on enter again. You can see this protruding part. So click on this opposite side and this other side, and just like that, it has been cleaned up. So we're going to do the same for this other part as well, and it's really easy. Remember, just create a dummy line here. So I'm going to use the line command again. So from around this point up to around this point, simply offset through 200, click on this line to this opposite side, and I'm going to simply use the trim, then hold down shift to overwrite so that we go to extend again up to there. Then still in the trim command, we're going to clean up these points like this. So for this one, I want to extend, hold down shift, overwrite, still in the trim, clean these points, and it's that simple. Now we can clearly see our walls and we are done with our walls. So after that, I'm going to simply click on this line, right click, select similar. So you're going to select all the lines. I'm going to hit on J for join and hit on enter. And just like that, we have modified and we can see a complete polyline like that, and our complete polyline on outside. So that's the way we actually use our lines. So the next cool thing that I'm going to show you will be placing our doors. So it's quite easy. We're going to use the polyline command again, and we're going to change the layers from walls to doors. So simply select from here, and we're going to start by placing this point here. So we're going to create one type of door, and then we're going to copy it to other places. So from here, I'm going to make it up to around here. Hit on escape, hit on enter again. From this point up to around there. And I'll show you how we're going to clean it up. So here is an arc. How are we going to do it? Very easy. So I'm going to use line so that we have a small point here. Up to there. Hit on escape. I'll navigate to the arc command. And we have our start and our end and our direction. So let's start. Start and direction. Simply this one. Click on this one. So we have our start point being this point, our end point being this point here, and our direction being there. So it's that easy. Now we have our door. So I'll go to trim. I'm going to trim off this point here, these two lines here, and now I'm going to clean this door like that. So it's that easy, and we have our door created. So for here, I'm going to simply just extend it. So simply trim, hold down shift to overwrite it so that we overwrite it up to there. And this line, we do not need it. So trim it off. And that's it. For the door here, we can also just trim it so that we have our door looking like this. Now I'm going to just simply connect from this point to this point. Then what are we going to do? Simply select one of them, select similar, and select this one, this one, this one, hit on J. So the ones that can join will join. And after that, we'll just create it to a simple block. So it's quite easy. Go to insert, create block, simply name it as door civil. After that, I'm going to specify on screen for the base point. And for the objects, I've already selected, and I'll convert them to a block on the drawing. And for the behavior, I'll just allow for exploding and scaling uniformly. After that, I'll make sure that my units are in millimeters. For yours might vary, but for my case are in millimeters. But you can also use unitless. But for our case, just leave it as is, then click on OK. So my base point will be here, and that's it. Now this is a block. It's quite easy now to copy. So let's go to home. Let's use actually copy, not move. So I'll select the object being this one, hit on enter. From what point? This point here. And let's place them. Turn off ortho mode and simply just zoom in using your eyes, and you can place it around here. So because we have our snap cursor, it's actually snapping on another point. So let's place it around here. And I will clean that other one that we have there. For this one, it's quite easy. So this one that we have here, I'm going to simply move it from that point to around here. Select it, RO for rotate, hit on enter, turn on ortho so that we have it at 90 over there. Then select it again, MI for mirror, hit on enter. I'll create my mirror line here, and I'll erase the object source, and then I'll select it. Then M for move, then I'll select from this corner. So I'll turn on my object snap cursor, turn off my ortho mode, then simply just place it here. I'll trace it up to there. So that's our door simply. And for this one, we can clearly see that the door is a bit different, which is not an issue. Remember, this is just for training. So we can place it there, and it can do the job that we want. In the event that we can just shift it, let's say up to this point, it will be more presentable. So the next thing that I want to show you, it's actually how to place our windows. So just go to layers, select windows, then use polyline. So for this case, we need to see where we need our windows. We have one window here. So I can simply trace it up to here, turn on my ortho mode up to, so where we have this point, I can simply click here, not click, hover my cursor up to here, then trace it. So we can click there, hit on enter to repeat the same command. And for this case, I'll actually turn it off to make it easier in designing. So I can actually offset outside, on the outside, up to there. Then I can simply trim. So TR for trim. I'm going to clean this, that, and that. Escape. Select these lines. Insert. Create block. Windows. Civil. And then, okay. My base point being around here. And that's it. Now this is a block. I'm going to simply copy from this point here all the way to this opposite side because I actually want another window here up to there. So for the rooms and the toilets as well, it's very important. I'll copy from this point. Now place it there. Then I can simply copy. So simply select it, CO for copy. So I actually want another copy. And then after that, I'll just simply move this one. So from this point here, I'll turn off my ortho so that I can simply place it around here. So I'll trace up to around this point there. So remember, we can be able to modify the drawing that we have in the background, but just to remain still more or less with the same settings. So I'll select this one and I'll simply copy it as well from this point here up to around this point here. Then I will simply copy this one from, let's say, this point up to about this point. And just like that, now we have our windows. So I'll select this, E for erase. Then I'm going to simply work on my grid lines. So it's quite easy. Remember, we had done an offset of 200. Now we're going to use 100. So offset this one, this line as well, towards the inner side, this line as well, towards the inner side, and this last line here towards the inner side, if possible. So maybe this one. So where it's not possible, it's not an issue. We're going to simply select this line and we're going to just change it. So select all these inner lines like this for now. And we're going to simply change. After selecting, we're going to change it to grid. And just like that, it has been updated to grid. And we can see that it has a center line, or it's dot dot dash. And after that, I'm going to simply just create a new line. So from this point here, all the way up to this point. Then I'm going to simply select it and change the property to grid. Or alternatively, you can match the property by MA and you can make it to grid, something like this. And the next thing that I want to show you is how to import our blocks. So simply type on ADC to activate the design center, or alternatively, in the view tab, navigate to palette, and then you can simply click on this to activate the design center, or hold on Ctrl 2 on your keyboard and this design center option will pop up. So what is a design center? This is very crucial, especially because it has blocks. So if you click on home, it will take you to this folder here, and we're going to simply just click on the ENUS, navigate to the design center, and for our case, we actually want something like the home spacer or the home designer. So let's check what they have. So double click on the home designer, double click on the blocks, and now we can simply see some items that we like. So let's say the toilet. We can just simply click on it, drag, drop it. And remember, our layers is very important. So we need to change this layer to blocks. And just like that, it has been updated. So I'll make sure that I have blocks here so that once we just drag and drop, it will be marrying with what we have. So drag, and I'm going to simply drop it there. And we're going to change the scale later on. So select, drag, drop. Let's go back by clicking this, back again. Home spacer, blocks, bed. Simply click, drag. Let's drop it here. Another sofa, click on this, drag, drop it here. Table, click, drag, drop. Piano, click, drag, drop. We have a dining set, click, drag, and drop it here. Let's say for kitchen area, let's go back, kitchens, blocks, and we can click on this, drag it, and we can drop it here. or we can select what we want. If you don't want it, you can just drag it back. So let's say the oven, click, drag and drop. If we want a wall cabinet, we can simply click, drag and drop it. And let's say we want some flower. So let's go back, and we can check from landscaping, blocks, and we can use a very simple, let's say tree to represent the flower. So maybe this one. So we can drag and drop it here, or we can actually change the size of this flower later. So after we are content, we can just now focus on our drawing. So for this one, we need to rotate, select RO rotate, hit on enter, specify the base point being any point, let's say around there, select on it, move it up to around this point where we can see the keys aligning, then move it again all the way up, place it there. So we're going to simply use scale. So SC for scale. You can specify the base point and you can actually scale it up just by gliding your mouse. Let's say up to around there. This the same as the other one. We're going to simply move it from this point. Let's up to around this point here. And we're going to simply scale it up, then rotate it. So let's say something like this, then rotate. So like that, then simply move. So we can move it up to, I'll turn off auto for now. I can move it up to around this point, something like this. For my bed, I'll simply rotate it. So remember, you can import as many blocks as you want. So for my case, I'm just selecting this ones for the demonstration. I'll place it there and I can simply move this one, let's say from this point, turn off auto again, up to about this point here. Then SC for scale from this corner, and I can expand it up to around there. That's it. And let's do for this sitting area, select RO rotate. You can turn on auto to make it easy. The same with this one, like that. Click on this one, move from about this point and place it around here. Select this one, move, M for move. So let's say from around this point up to around there. SC scale again from there, let's say around there. This one as well, scale, let's say from here, and just scale it up, let's say around there. Then click on it and move it around here. The same thing for our dining table. It's quite small. Let's just scale it up slightly. So you have to be very careful with this object snap cursor, because it can snap and make your blocks quite big, and it will be a challenge. The same with this one. So we can place it around here, then simply scale it up. So let's say something like this. And remember, you can simply import so many other blocks as much as you want, and you can simply just modify them as we are modifying, and we'll move it up to around here. Then I'm going to simply scale it up, something of the sort. This one, I'll rotate it 90, and I'll place it around there and scale it up slightly, something like this. Then I'm going to simply turn off auto, click on M for move from around this point to around that point. So that's the way our blocks are now looking. So for our tree, we can now scale it down, SC for scale, then something like that. Then simply move it from this point and you can place it there, maybe a Christmas tree, something like that. Remember, you can add as many blocks as you want. So the next thing that I want to show you is actually how to annotate. And it's quite simple. Simply go to annotate and we're gonna modify our text. So click on this to activate the text style options. Click on new and we're gonna create a new text style option. So we can call it civil. I'll click on OK. So from civil, let's specify the height, let's say 150, and we can actually select the font type that you want to use. So for my case, I use iso.shx. So this one, and this is a preview that can be shown here. After that, I'll just simply click on apply, then close, and we'll see that it has been selected as civil. The next thing that I'll show you still under text will be how to place it. So you can simply click on this multi-line text or click on this drop down, select single text. But for our case, we're going to use the multi-line. So click on it once, and on this area, we can just name it as kitchen area. So create a text box area like this, then name it as kitchen. Even if you've not changed the layer, it's not an issue. You can just click on it once, go to home, click on this drop down, click on annotation, and it will be updated just like that. So let's go to annotate. We're going to use still the same multi-line. And for this one, we can name it as living room area rather, and just click away. So for this, we can update again to annotate. Make sure you select annotate, then go back to annotate. So here we can call it as master bedroom, something like this. For this other one, we can call it a WC, W/C, meaning water closet, as you know. And for bathtub, just look like it. We have not modified it, not a problem. So we're going to simply just rotate it, RO for rotate, hit and enter. So we're going to rotate it using 180 degree. Just check on this. Up to that, select on it, use SC for scale, hit and enter. From this point here, just increase the scale slightly like this. Simply move from here to around there, then from there, from up to around there, something like that. And that's mainly it. That's the way we usually do annotation. We have our rooms. So this is a kitchen. If you want to modify, just simply double click on it and it will be in the modify mode. So we can name it as kitchen area, then click away. And that's the way we modify the text. So the next thing that I want to show you is how to place our dimensions. So under home, I'm going to select on dimensions. So click on this once, go to annotate, and under dimensions palette, click on this icon to activate the dimension style manager. Click on new. So we're going to name it as civil. We're going to start with a certain standard. So we can start with standard, click on continue. So we're going to use for all dimensions, click on continue, and then this pop-up window will be shown. So we can start with lines. You can specify the lines how you want them. So for my case, for now, I'll update this to 40. I'll update this to 40 as well. I'll update this to 20. And you can see a preview as we do this update. So for now, it looks crazy, but I'm going to show you. For this arrow size, I'm going to update to 20. This I'm going to update to 10. This I'll update it to 150. This one I'll update it to 40. So what I'm simply doing, you see what we have here? I'm actually multiplying by 1,000. So this is 180. This is 90. And now you see it's starting to make some sense. And from this text alignment, we can actually update it from horizontal to aligned with the dimension style. And you can see how it looks like to ISO standards, something of the sort. But we have so many decimal points. Let's actually correct it. So from here, it's about fitting. You can either always keep text between extended lines like this. I prefer it like this. The primary units, we're going to use decimal, but I don't want to see all these decimal points. So use 0 decimal points. And we can actually specify so many things, such as the decimal separator if you want. So once content, you can actually use alternate units. Let's say for people who use feet, I can simply activate this and I can change the unit format, let's say from decimal to maybe something like this. And we can have a preview here and I can use a multiplier factor for all the units. So we know this is a standard to change from imperial to metric. So you can use this and you can actually use how you want it to be displayed. But for our case, we do not need it. So I'm going to uncheck that. If you're using mechanical, you can use some tolerances. But for our case, we're actually not using any tolerance. So click on OK, set as current, click on close. And now it's just simply to place our dimensions. So we're going to actually activate the snap cursor. So click on this one so that it becomes so easy for us to place our dimensions. Click on linear. And actually under linear, there's so many other options. You can use aligned, angular, so on and so forth, depending on what you're working with. So for our case, we're going to use linear. And we're going to start from the exterior point, let's say from this point up to this point. Now place it around here. If you're not content with this 3 millimeters, it's quite easy. If you just go back to your dimension style manager and click on modify, and we go back to our primary unit, you can simply just say round off to what? To 5. Something like this. So easy. Click on set current, click on close, and voila, we are done. Then after that, we're going to click on this dimension, click on continue, and it will continue taking the dimensions from that point. So click on the next point there, this next point being here, and just like that, once you're done, right click, click on enter, and we are done. So let's create for this other side as well. So let's say from this point to the door, to the opening of the door. So this one, once you have placed it the first time, click on continue. So to this point, to the next point here, to the next point being here. Simply hit on escape as well to eject from the command. Click on linear again. So from this point to this window, then place it there. Then click on continue. The window opening space up to there. Click on escape. Hit on enter to repeat this. Click on linear for this side. So let's say from this point, zoom in to be precise to this point here. Then place it around there and use continue. So from that point to this point, to the next point, to that point, to the edge, and simply up to that point. So after that, we can just simply create the overall dimensions. So let's say from this point to this point and place it there. Hit on enter to repeat the same command from this point here all the way to this point here is that dimension. And you can do the same for these all other sides. So after that, we're going to do a very simple check. So whatever we have on this side, which is 11190, we have to have it on this other side. Whatever we have on this side, we have to have it on this other side. So it means there's a point of hitch that we have. So we can zoom in and see at what point have we not clicked exactly. So over here clearly. So once you click on this point to this point, let's confirm. Yes, 16370, 16370. And that's the way we simply create our dimensions. So we have already gone through how to use our layers, and the coolest thing about layers, we can simply even turn them off and it won't affect other items. Let's say we want to turn off the dimensions. We can just simply turn them off or on from this point, just like this. Really amazing. And not only that, we have gone through how to import this image that we have here. So remember xRef that we have used. If you hit on enter, you can see this drawing here. So I can simply right click and I can simply say just unload. And just like that, it's already turned off. If I want it back on, right click, say reload, and it's back, just like that. So that's the way we actually import our images. And we have gone through how to place our dimensions, and we can clearly see our dimensions here. And if you wanted to isolate it, you can just select it, right click, maybe select similar, then right click again, say isolate, and you say isolate object. That's the way we actually isolate our dimensions. And if I want my objects back, simply right click, go to isolate and select end object isolation. And we have already gone through how to place our annotations. Remember, even if you use single line text, you can actually be able to use the express tool here to convert them back to multi-line text. So AutoCAD is really amazing, and I'll be taking you through part 3. In this part 3 series, I'll be taking you through the 3D modeling and the advanced editing part. So the 3D modeling part is not usually found within this 2D area. So for one to be able to access it, you can change the workspace from this point just by clicking on this arrow, and you can change from the drafting and annotation, which is usually the default that usually comes with AutoCAD, and you can use the 3D modeling workspace. So just click on this once, and you'll see that the entire workspace will be changed to a certain way that looks a bit different. So it looks a bit different because now it's more focused with the 3D part of AutoCAD, which I'll be taking you through. So still the same options are more or less still there. So for our layers, I actually want to turn off some layers so that I can be able to show you on how we can work with the 3D. So even before turning off, first I will use the dash window to select this. I'll use copy, CO for copy from that point up to this other point. So the commands are still working regardless on the type of layer that you're in. And then I'll just simply turn off my dimension layers. So I'll go to layer properties. So click on this one and this pop-up window will be shown. And I'll just double click to activate layer 0. and then I will just check on this bulb to turn off the dimensions. And I also want to turn off my grids. So turn off these grids. And I want to turn off my windows for now. So turn off windows. And I want it to be left something like this. I can also turn off my doors actually. Let's turn off doors so that we're only left with the world and the annotation. So close this, and I actually want to hide this photo. So select on this. Then you can just simply check on this and it will be hidden. So we'll be left with this frame to show us that the photo is there, but there's usually a setting to turn off this frame. So after that, I'll simply use the line command. So we still have draw, modify, so on and so forth, but with so many other options here. So click on line, and I want to change my layer from 0 to wall using the line. So from this point to that point, hit on enter to repeat the same command to that point. So I actually want to create an area that we can be able to create a 3D image. So I will simply just go slightly off of it so that I can be able to trim it again. So I'll just simply trim that part, and I'll do the same for all the openings that we have here. So somewhere, if we have any opening somewhere, I'll just simply select on it. Let's say this one here. Then I'll select on this line that we have added, then J for join, hit on enter. So now if you hover your cursor over this area and it's not connecting to this other side, it's quite simple. F for fillet, radius bin 0, click on this line that we have here and to this line so that we join it just like that. Now we can see that the line is going all around, and this one is separated because it's separate in this point here, and that's the way we want to see it. So I actually want to isolate also, or turn off the layer for blocks so that we're only left with the walls, something like this. So the next thing that we're going to use, it's actually Presspull, but we're going to change the viewing point from top to actually perspective. So click on this home icon here to change it to perspective, and you'll see your drawing from this side, which is actually the top left area from this side, which you can see in your 3D view here. And you can actually navigate by clicking or holding down your left cursor, and you can simply glide your mouse on your work desk and you can be able to orbit through your model like this. So I want to simply press pull through this opening area. So you can zoom in slightly, you can click there, and then you will be given this option. So you can simply create a 3D like this. So by default, our wall heights can be 3100. Hit on enter. So that is 3 meters, 100 millimeters, or 3.1 meters. And we have something like this. If we wanted to create something like a window, it's quite simple. You simply go to the coordinates panel under the home tab, and under this option, just select on the face. So you can click on the face, and you can click on the face that you want to edit. Let's say, for example, it's this one, and I'll accept, and you can see that the coordinate system has been changed. We are no longer in world, now we are in unnamed. And then I'll just simply create a very simple rectangle. So click on rectangle, and I'll draw on this face. Let's say, for example, let's say from around this point here to around that point. And then I'll simply press pull again. So I'll click on press pull inside here towards the inner direction, up to around there. And just like that, we have done a subtraction, and we can see a window here. So we can do the same for these other sides that we want. For example, if you wanted, you can also do the same for a circle. Let's say for our water closet, we wanted a circle. Remember, select the face again. So we're going to simply click on face, click on this side, accept, use a circle, maybe a small circle, something like that of the sort. Then use press pull again, inside there, up to there. And you can orbit by holding down your shift key button and your center wheel mouse button so that you can simply orbit. You're going to use a rectangle on this kitchen area. Remember, select your face. So the face is this side now, accept, use your rectangle, or alternatively, you can just key in rec on your keyboard to activate this. Then use press pull again, this point like that. Then hold down your shift and your center wheel mouse button so that you can be able to orbit. So over here we have a door. So we're going to simply just create a simple beam here. Very simple. Select your face again. Let's say this face here, accept. We're going to create a very simple rectangle. Let's say from this point all the way, let's say from that, and we're going to trace it 600 or something of the sort up to there. Then simply use extrude. So we're going to extrude from this point here, or the same. If you use extrude and the press pull, they more or less act the same. So we have extruded or press pulled, or we have pulled from this face to this face. And we can see that we have something of the sort, something like this. And if we wanted to create a door, it's quite easy. So what we'll just simply do, we're going to just orbit up to this side. I'm going to select my face to be this open point here, this point, and I'll accept. Then I'll create a rectangle from this corner to this opposite corner over there. And remember, now this is a door, which will change the layer later. Then you can use press pull or extrude. So from this face all the way down up to around there. And that's it. It's very simple. And we can see our drawing like that. So that's mainly what we do in the 3D. And you might ask, you can just mainly see some lines, some very sketchy lines, which is not as beautiful as you thought. So we can actually change the view that we have, but just by going to this option here. So we already have preset where you can use conceptual, and you'll have your drawing looking something like this. And remember, over here, we already changed our face. So you can actually use the view, click on view, then just simply click on world, and it will reset our UPS system that we have here. So you can simply see how your house looks like. Remember, this is the door that we have here, and we can be able actually to edit it to change the layer. You can also change this view to something like X-ray. So something like this. You can be able to see some objects inside. You can also change it to something like sketchy lines, where you can have it looking like a sketch, and so on and so forth. There's so many options that you have within AutoCAD that you can use as an engineer. So if you're actually using realistic, this is a really cool feature that you can use. Let's say, for example, you wanna make your drawing look more realistic by introducing some material. So simply go to the Visualize tab, click on Visualize, and you'll find this panel named as Materials. So you can just simply click on the material browser, and you can be able to import some materials into your AutoCAD system, and you can be able just to simply drag and drop. What do I mean? Let me just open my window slightly here so that you can be able to see what we are working with. If you wanted to search a material, it's quite easy. I can just click here. Let's say we want something like bricks, yes? So we will search if we have bricks in the system. So we have so many bricks here, and I can use any type of brick. Let's say I'm using this non-uniform or this running. Let's use this running. So I can simply click on this to load it into the document. Now we have this in the system. Then I'll just click on it, simply drag and drop it. And just like that, now we have the bricks here. And in the event that you wanted to edit it, you can just simply click on this icon here or double click on it, and you can be able to modify the bricks pattern that you have here. It's really, really simple. And in the event that you wanted actually to change what we have here, you can simply just, let's say we want to use this basket wheel, just click on this to load it, simply just drag and drop over it. And just like that, it has been updated. It's really easy to input your materials within the AutoCAD. And let's say in the event that you wanted to render your drawing, you already have render here. So it's really easy to render. You can just change the render quality that you want. Let's say I just want a very low render. I can select a specific window or a region. Let's say we want this region here or this window here. You can specify. Then you can just click to render to size. So you can specify the size that you want. And for our case, let's just click render to size so that we can create a very simple render. If you do not have the medium image library, you can simply install it, but you'll have to shut down your AutoCAD. But for my case, I'll just work without it. So I'll just click on OK. And I'll pick the window to render, let's say from this point up to around this point. And here is the final rendered image. We have more about creating realistic rendering in AutoCAD in our comprehensive course. It is linked in the description. So after that, the next thing that you can actually do, we can create a camera for our view for this specific model that we have here. And it's quite simple. Simply just go to create camera here under the camera. panel. Click on the area that you want to set your camera. Let's say we can take a photo or a snap for this direction. Let's say up to somewhere around here, or you can just turn off your snap cursor to make it easier to place your camera. Then you can give the name of the camera. Let's say civil view. You can hit on enter. The location, you can change the location if you wanted. Let's say if you wanted to place it on this other side, you can just place it there. You can change the length, the target, so on and so forth. But for our case, just click on exit and we now have our camera. If you do not want to show your camera, just click on this, toggle off or toggle on, and you'll see the camera. And if you wanted to activate this view, it's quite simple. Just go to the named views here, click on this drop down, and we now have our camera here. So click on it once, and just like that, we can see our camera, we can see our bricks, we can zoom out, we can even change the point of target of our camera, something like this, and it's really simple. So if you want to go back to the view that you're from, just simply click on this and you can specify either, let's say, the top view, and now we're back in our top view. And now we can be able to do some other changes. So the next thing that I really want to show you, and it's really cool, just go back to Home tab, click on the top view, then we're going to make sure that north is facing up, something like this. And we're going to change the view from realistic, let's say, to wireframe. And then you're going to simply click on top. The reason that we change from realistic to wireframe is because of the perspective view of the walls. And I want to show you something really, really cool. So we're going to take something called like a flat shot, and we usually take it from this area. So click on this section and we're going to take this flat shot. So click on flat shot, and it's usually just a photo of what you're seeing. So we want to insert it as a new block, and we can even export it to a certain file that we want to save it there, and we can change the color of the foreground, and we can also show the hidden lines from this area. So let's say we can use center lines to show the hidden lines, and we can use, let's say, color blue to show the hidden lines, and after that you can just click on create. So once you create the flat shot, you can click on the point of insertion. Let's say we want to insert it around here. I'll hit on enter for the X factor and for the Y factor, and for the ortho, I'll leave it as 0 and I'll hit on enter. And that's the way we simply create a very simple definition of our floor plan. If you wanted to create actually a perspective, just click on this and still the same thing. Just go back here, click on flat shot, and you can create a flat shot of what you're seeing. So click on create, and you can simply just place it around here. Then hit on enter twice, thrice, and just like that, now we have our perspective photo, which is here. And it's really easy. If you wanted to create your roof from this, it's quite simple. So what we can simply do, you can use offset, draw a distance of 600 millimeters for our eave, and you can click on this polyline, but for now it's a whole block. So you can just simply first select on it. For explode, hit on enter, then simply use offset or for offset through 600. Then we're going to select this line here, or the whole line everywhere. So we're going to select these lines that we have here, or you're going to simply highlight everything that you have here, J for join, so that we can have this exterior line being one complete line. And then after that, we're going to simply do offset through 600 for this line towards outside. And this inner line, we're going to just simply select it, X for explode, and now we have it detached. So basically, this is the floor print of our roof, and we're going to just clean everything that we have inside, and it's quite easy. Just select everything like this, like that, and erase. Alternatively, first join, J for join, and you have your exterior polyline, something like this. Then simply select everything from right to left using the dash line. Hold on shift so that you can select this. E for erase, and just like that, now it's erased. Then select this again, X for explode, and now you can simply clean it very easy using the dash window like this. Then E for erase, and we are done. So you can simply click on this node here, and you can connect it to this other point here by turning on first the snap cursor. So click on snap cursor, and you can place it there. After that, you can select everything like this, then J for join, and just like that, we have our polyline. So I want to show you how we can actually create a very simple roof from this. So we're going to use the extrude option that is found in the modeling tab. So click on extrude, and down here, you'll see some options. So click on mode. We want to extrude the solid. So click on this line that we have here, then hit on enter once. Then you will be shown like you can be able to press pull this, but now we're going to select our taper angle, click on taper angle and enter an angle of 60. And now we're going to simply just pull it all the way up to somewhere that we can, let's say 1800, something of the sort, so that we just pull it all the way up. So for the roof, you can be able to finish this using the extrude option. But for now, I'm just simply going to show you how we can be able to move this roof that we have here. So just click on this specific roof that we have, and we're going to simply move it. But even before that, we need to create a point which is 600 away from this area. And we're going to simply go just to line, click on line here, and we're going to click from this point here up to this point. Click on escape, click on that line that we have, offset through a distance of 600 again towards the inner part. Then we're going to do the same for this other side, L for line, hit on enter. I want it from this point here up to this point. So you have to be more careful when you're working in the 3D, because remember, if you work in the 3D, you have the Z component. So for now, we want to copy from this point, but I'm going to select only this roof. Then I'm going to select actually move, not copy. So move from this point here, and I'm going to place it there. So that's the way we simply just move our roof. And now we have something like this. Remember, we can change our view to something like conceptual, and we have something like this. We can change it to something realistic, and we have something like this. If we want to add our material, simply just use the material browser. You can click from here and you can just simply import the roofing tiles. Let's search if we have roof, hit on enter. And from this list that we have here, you can be able to simply just import. Let's say we import something like this green here. I'm going to click on this, just drag and drop it. And now we have it here. Remember, we can be able to edit using this option here. And we can still create the camera, we can be able to render, so many other things. If we wanted to place it for the door, maybe this material, just for an example, I can still take it from here, drag and drop it to the specific material that I want. Let's say something like that. And that's the way we simply create our representation of our drawing. And remember, using the FLATSHOT, we can still be able to take now the beautiful representation from here. And after that, now we can take it to our drawing. And it's still quite easy. We're going to simply create now a layout. So we already have existing layouts here that we can be able to use. But I tend to import from template. So you can click from template. And you can navigate to this folder that you have it under Autodesk, under AutoCAD, R24.3, ENU, then template. And under this, you have already existing templates that we can be able to use. So for our case, we have, let's say, in manufacturing, architectural, and we already have sheets inside here. Let's say for civil metric, I can click on open and I can specify the size A1 and it will be added down here. So from here, I just need a very simple viewport. So I'll simply go to layer. I'll simply create a rectangular viewport. Let's say from this point up to around here for the floor plan. Then I'll just simply double click inside here so that I can activate this viewport and I can simply just zoom in to the specific area that I want. Let's say something like this. This is really good as fitted, is well fit inside here. And then I can just simply click away. And that's the way we show our items. Remember, we have some layers which are hidden. So I can simply just navigate to model. I can go back to home tab. I can go back to my layer properties, or you can just simply click on this to turn on all the layers that you have. So if you click on this once, all the layers are now turned on and we can see what we have here. And we have any isolated layer. So simply right click, go to isolate and object isolation. And just like that, now we have our items back. So remember, if you have any isolated objects, just simply right click, isolate, and object isolation. And now we have our dimensions. So we're going to simply go back to now our layer. So double click, right click, click on zoom. You're going to left click on your left key mouse button. And then you're going to either glide down or glide up so that you can be able to zoom in a steady way like this. Then right click, click on exit, then double click away. So in the event that you want to create another viewport, it's still possible, still within the same drawing. So we're going to simply go to layout, click on rectangular. If you want to create a rectangular one from this point, let's say up to around this point, and then double click, then you're going to just simply pan by holding down your center wheel mouse button up to around there, then right click, then use zoom option again, left click downwards, then you're going to just move your mouse all the way up, something like this. Hold down your center wheel mouse button to put it in place, right click, click on exit, then double click away. So that's the way we actually place our objects within the viewport. If you still want to create a new one, it's still possible. You can use the rectangular, or we still have other options such as polygonal or even objects. So you can actually create using a specific object that you have, but for our case, you can just leave it as is, or we can just place the last rectangular viewport, let's say from this point all the way up to around here, so that we have symmetry. We can place it there, then we can double click, we can zoom in, and we can actually create the perspective. So click on this, then I can simply zoom in up to this point here, right click, so that I can be able to zoom in small increments up to there, right click, exit, double click outside, and that's the way we actually place our viewports. Remember, our title block is filled with attributes. So if you just double click on these items here, this pop-up window will be shown where you can input your name. Let's say the name of the project, AutoCAD, civil drawing, something of the sort. You can change the address name or address place, or you can even double click to access this attribute field option. If you want to change anything, you can just simply change from here, or you can even change what is shown within the block. So you can click on cancel. And if you want to show, let's say, the scale, you can just leave it as noted. You can specify the date to be exact. You can even change the project name, or you can even place a new attribute in the event that you wanted. And remember, you can still change the text options from here. If you want Romance, if you want the civil one that we have already defined within the drawing, but in this context, it will be really big, and you can clearly see here. So you can just use the ones that we already have saved within this area. Or in the event that it's too big, you can just simply edit it. Or you can just simply click on cancel and it will not be saved. So that's the way we simply do it. And the last option is actually how to export it. So Control P on your keyboard to activate this plotting option. So you can plot as a batch, or you can just plot a single sheet. Or alternatively, you can just click on this option here that we have up here to print. And under that, you can now specify the plotter or the printer that you have. So you can connect to either of these printers that you have, or even a physical printer that you have. I usually use general documentation or even high quality for printing. Then I can specify the paper size. I can even downgrade it, let's say to A3. And I can select this one, and we are given a quick preview over here. We can specify what we want. Let's say plot the layout, or plot the certain windows, and I can specify the exact window. Let's say from that point all the way to that point. And we have the preview here. So it's not actually fit into the paper, but it's not a problem. Just check on this, and just like that, it's now fit into the paper. But we have a lot of space here. Check on this, and now we have it centered within the paper. And we can actually change the quality, maybe from normal to presentation, maximum, so on and so forth, just from here. And we can also change the style tables that we have, maybe monochrome, so on and so forth. But for now, I'll just leave as none. I can click on apply to layout first. Then, very important, always preview so that you have a quick perspective of what you're trying to export, and then you can finally export it officially. So if you zoom in, you can just see how your drawing looks like. So this is the way the drawing is looking like. We have this background photo, which I do not want. So I can just click on close here, or hit on escape. And then I'm just gonna click on cancel for now. Then I'm going to double click here to activate this specific area. Then I'm going to simply select from out, coming inside, select the dash. Then I simply want to be left with a window. Or to make it easier, just double click outside. I'll go to model. Still within the area, I want to deselect the photo that we have. So I will simply select from right to left, then hold down Shift key to deselect the dimensionings that we have here, and we are left with this option. So I can just toggle it off so that I'm just left with this drawing. Then I'll go back to A1 and I have this. Now I'm going to click on this option for plotting. I'm going to click a single sheet and then I'll have a preview. You can even change the line weights if you want here. So I'll click on preview and I think now everything is okay. So I can simply just click on this to plot, or I can click on close again. Then I can go back to this window and then I'll click on OK to print again. And then you can specify the exact folder that you want to save. For my sake, I can save it in AutoCAD for now, then click on save and it's now processing. And thus down here, we'll be given a prompt once it's done. So we have a prompt here that's showing that there's no errors, no warnings. If you click on this, you can actually view the plotting message. What was plotted, at what time it was plotted, who plotted, how many sheets were plotted, so on and so forth. It's really good for documentation and document keeping. So once you're content with this, you can either copy or you can just click on close. And now I'll show you how the PDF looks like. So for my case, I usually use Bluebeam to open my PDF drawings. And I can clearly see all the items that we have drawn. They have been exported successfully to this PDF, and I can simply share this PDF to any person who's interested. The only thing pending is just our grid annotations that we have not placed here, but that is a very small thing, and it's still quite easy to be able to modify. So if I was to close on this, and if I was still to open my AutoCAD drawing, I'll just simply go to Model, and I can just simply place now my grid lines. And it's very easy. How do I do this? I'll just simply click on this dimension, right click, select similar, and I'm going to simply isolate it, actually hide the objects. I'm going to simply hide the objects. Then I'm going to simply create a very simple boundary around my building. So it's quite easy. So I'll place it around here to this opposite edge over here, and I'll show you why just in a few. Then I'll simply change my layers from wall to grids. So we're going to select this grid line that we have here, and this other one here, and this other one here as well, and just simply X for explode so that we can simply extend it. So click on trim again. Remember, hold down Shift, and now we can simply extend it just like this, all the way up to where we want it to arrive. And it's quite easy, just like that. This other side as well. So you can even turn off your blocks if they are a bit nuisance when it comes to extending. So all the way like that. And it's really easy to extend. Just hold down your Shift key and you can see that the line is extending. But for our case, this one is still not fully exploded. So X for explode. You can even use EX for extend so that you can just click on the line without holding down your Shift key. Like this. The last one there. This one as well. This one to this other side. So you can see clearly in the event that I want it to be extended in this direction, I work towards that direction. In the event that I want to extend in the other direction, I go to that direction. I do not just click it from the center. For our case here, I can just simply click on this line or just place it up to here. So maybe I'll trace from this point up to that point, then extend again. Then select the line that I want to extend, like that one up to this point here. From this midpoint, trace it. Simply rest your cursor there and you'll be given that option to trace it. Then I'm going to extend this side as well. And that's the way we simply extend. For the lines that are still missing, just simply select on them, click on that and extend it simply by tracing from this point up to that point of intersection there, and this line as well from this point all the way down up to this point of intersection there. So that's the way we actually place our grid lines. Very easy. The same with this line here. So click on this point or that node and extend it up to that point. And once you're content, once you see that all your lines are now touching this, you can simply select it, E for erase, and just like that, now it's gone. Using the circle command, remember we have 2 point, we're going to use 2 point. So let's say from this point here, I'm going to place 600 height. So now we have our grid bubble and we're going to place our text inside. So DT for text option. And then we're going to specify the start point of the text. So the start point will be here and the author will be 0. So I'll hit an enter. Then I'll just key in on my keyboard the alphabetical. So A, then I'll click away, then escape. And I have my text here. So I want to place it about the center. I'll turn off author, not snap cursor, and I'll place it around here. Then I'll just simply copy this. So CO for copy from this point here to these other points that we have here. It's that simple. So if you want to edit, just simply double click inside and it will be highlighted. Edit to B, caps, click away. We still have this bubble or this box for editing, click away. Now we have our grids on this side. So we can clearly see that this line has not been fully extended. It's not an issue. Just click on this node that we have here. Simply extend it. Use this point to trace up to that point. And then we're going to simply select this that we have here. CO for copy from this point to this point. Double click inside and edit it to D. Then click away. So what we're going to do is very easy. Just highlight this. Then CO copy from this point of the quadrant. If you cannot see this option, simply just click on this option here and you'll see quadrant. So make sure this one is checked. So we want to copy from this point all the way down at 90 degree up to there. And for this line as well is not extended, not a problem. Click on this node and simply place it there. The same thing we're going to do for this other side, that we're going to use the numerical order. So CO for copy from this point here and place it there. Then just double click inside and place 1. Then we're going to hit on escape, select this, copy from this point all the way down. So to this point here, to the next point there, this other point here, and to the last point there. Then remember, just double click inside, rename from 1 to 2. We still have our box edit. Click on this. 3. We still have our option to edit. Click on this. 4. And the last one, pin 5. That's it. Then using our dash window, we can see that this window is dashed. Highlight what we want. CO copy from this point to this point like that. And simply right click, isolate and object isolation. And now we have everything. Back in our viewport, just by clicking this area, we see everything has been updated in real time when we were working on this specific model. So we can still export this just by clicking on this plotter, click on proceed with a single sheet, click on OK because the settings are already saved. So we can just overwrite this. So once everything has been exported without any errors, open it in your AutoCAD viewing document or PDF viewing document. For my case, I'm using Bluebeam. It's saying that it has some viewports, not an issue. So I'll just click on no. And now we can see our beautiful drawing A, B, C, D. All the grids are there. All the dimensions are there. Very beautiful. We have a perspective over here. We can see the walls, the windows. We can see the roof over here and so many other items we can be able to import into this drawing. So that's mainly how we work with complex 3D options inside AutoCAD. And we have so many other options that we can be able even to use within AutoCAD by importing even 3D blocks that are already within the drawing just by simply using xRef. So remember this xRef, we're going to just simply pop it up, right click, attach a DWG 3D object that we have. Let's say, for example, for our case, we have this sample here. I can use this one, click on open, and just like that, it will be attached in our AutoCAD software. So we can click on OK, and it will be imported as per where we will place the insertion point, let's say somewhere like this. And now we can see it that it has been attached. It's quite a very big file, and It's simply that easy just to import 3D objects within AutoCAD. There are so many items that we have not been able to fully cover in this specific course, but kindly, if you have any questions, any comments, make sure to ask down in the comment section below. I'm sure you have been able to learn on how to use AutoCAD as a civil engineer, and if you're still interested to use AutoCAD as a pro, make sure to check out the content that we have. So for the lesson files that we have used in this specific tutorial, they are linked down below.
So that was the basics of AutoCAD for civil engineers. Now, if you want to earn a certificate of completion for finishing AutoCAD Essentials course, then enroll in the AutoCAD Essentials course by me on SourceCAD, which is completely free. I've added its link in the description and first pinned comment. Also, if you really want to learn AutoCAD right from scratch up to a professional level with 2D, 3D tools and also the advanced tools like dynamic block, sheet set, customizations, and quite a lot more, then join SourceCAD for complete access to 40 plus courses, instructor support for Q&A, and of course, certificate of completion. A link to join the course with a discount is added in the description of this video. This discount is available only if you are joining the course using the link in the description. Finally, let me know what topic you want us to cover in the next video, and I'll see you soon.